Hi everybody, David Paul with you. Wanted to step in and give you a broad look at the tropics, a tropical update as we head into this weekend here in September. There are several spots out in the Atlantic we're watching. One in particular now up to a 40% chance for developing as it moves across the Yucatan and into the Gulf late in the weekend and early next week. So that's one we will be monitoring very carefully, and I'll give you a full look at it and a forecast outlook for that here in just a minute. But I wanted to start with going back to the beginning. And before the season started, Colorado State University came out with their seasonal outlook, and because of unusually warm sea surface temperatures and a pending La Nina, they were looking at what they thought would be a very busy season, a hyperactive season. They forecast originally 25 named storms, the largest number of storms ever in a preseason forecast. They've since backed it down a little bit, a smidge. They're still forecasting, as of today, 23 named storms. Last year we had 20 total in 2023. So far this year we've only had 5. So if we're going to get to 23, the tropics are going to have to get hyperactive to get to that number. And I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I think it would be very unusual to have that many storms. You know, we'd have to have 18 more here before the season ended by the end of November. That's a big number to get to. So we've got that kind of in the back of our minds. And we'll get back to that in just a second. Now, as we look at what's going on in the Gulf as we go through Friday and into this weekend, we've got low pressure out here. And in fact, the Hurricane Center did have this marked as a 10% chance for development, but the low pressure out here is very broad. Look how broad it is, and it's very weak. What you need is a much tighter circulation, and it needs to be underneath all the rain and thunderstorm activity. So this circulation is exposed, it's broad, it's weak, and because there's no real deep convection underneath that, no development is now expected. Hurricane Center has taken this back down to what they believe is a 0% chance for tropical development from this one just off the Texas coast over the weekend. So it's not one we need to be worried about. This is the low that's just been sitting here for days and days and days and bringing us all the rainy weather. It's finally going to begin to pull out and a little dry air being pulled down. And so it's going to actually help give us a beautiful weekend. Saturday we dry out, no rain Saturday morning, and Saturday afternoon a smidge lower humidity for Houston and highs in the mid to upper 80s. So that counterclockwise rotation going to bring in a bit of a northerly flow on Saturday and help things clear and give us a break from the rain. Zooming out across the big picture on the tropics. So there are 4 spots that we're watching. You know, it looks like there's just all kinds of activity all over the place. There's not. None of these have developed. 3 of the 4 have a very low chance of development. The one off the Texas coast, now a 0% chance. That little spot, 20% chance. This area, 10% chance over the next 7 days. So nothing's developed out here. In fact, we have not had a named system in the Atlantic in more than 3 weeks. And we're in the heart, statistically, of when these tropical systems develop in the Atlantic. So it's unusual. You know, we've had this big forecast. Everything, looked like it would be a hyperactive season, and that's not what it's been so far. It's been below normal. If you think of just storm count, and you want to compare it to seasons when we had 18, 20, 23 storms. That's the wave that we'll watch as it comes across the Yucatan and into the Gulf of Mexico. That will happen the end of the weekend and early next week. So this is the spot that we're watching, and this 40% chance of development, that's the change. It was down to a 20% chance. Now it's bumped up to a 40% chance. So that's perked our ears up just a little bit. So there are some factors we're looking at this. When that wave does get into the Gulf, plenty of warm water. But just because you have warm water, even water above normal, it doesn't mean you're going to get tropical development. Warm water is just kind of a baseline criteria. It's got to be over 80. You can be above that, but it doesn't mean you're going to get instant development. Clearly we're not, because we've had sea surface temperatures above normal all season and we've had only 5 storms. But that's in place, so if something gets going, it has fuel to feed on. And then another player is this front coming in. So let's walk through the surface wind forecast and the surface front. So here we go into Saturday. And you can see all the players. There's the front. That's the very broad, elongated low that we've been watching for more than a week, giving us the rain. That's the wave right here moving into the southern Gulf of Mexico. So we go into Sunday, the front pushes off the coast into the Gulf. We get a northerly breeze and we get lower humidity in Houston, a beautiful weekend. And you see now this broad circulation developing down here in the southern Gulf. That's the wave coming across the Yucatan, forecast to get into this spot in the Gulf and has the 40% chance for development. And you can see why we're paying attention to it. There's a broad circulation down here. If the models were depicting a better chance for development, that circulation would be much more compact, much tighter. And that's not what the models are showing. They're showing a broad, elongated circulation. So whatever's down here, the models think it will struggle to develop if it's going to do that at all. Go forward into Monday. Front still sitting out here in the Gulf, stalled out, broad circulation. And then as we go into Tuesday, models do kind of tighten the circulation a little bit, get it close to the coast, and then it would be interacting with land. So there's nothing clean, clear cut going on down here. The front begins to back up. I think what we can say about this is that setup where you've got this low pressure of some sort here, you've got this onshore flow, and you've got a surface boundary backing back up to the coast, means rain chances for the Texas coast and Houston, Galveston will be going back up as we head into Tuesday and the middle part of the week. Here's another look at all of this, and I've painted the rain forecast on here as well. We go into Saturday, front coming in, rain in the Gulf, but we get a nice weekend. We go into Sunday, there's the area struggling to develop. Maybe something develops here, maybe it doesn't. We'll watch it carefully. We go into Monday, front's now stationary, a lot of rain in the Gulf. We go into Tuesday, and then there's that rain coming back in to Texas and Houston and southeast Texas. So I think regardless, it's a very wet weather pattern going into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. Will a tropical system develop down here? There's no clear-cut answer to that. And that's fine. This time of the year, even these big areas of weak low pressure can suddenly get organized and get going. It's that time of year, so you have to just kind of watch it like a hawk. So we'll watch it each day, several times a day, and keep you posted in case anything out there gets going. And as I mentioned, that we are statistically in the busy part of the season. September 10th is the statistical peak. So we're going to go through that as we head into early next week. So we're right here in the heart of when we should see the maximum amount of tropical development. And as I mentioned, last 3 weeks, nothing. That's unusual. Again, the season outlook, 23 storms, 11 hurricanes, and 5 majors forecast. We've had one major, that was Beryl, back when it was in the Caribbean. That's the one that hit Houston. It's really strange to be in a season like this where the forecast was for a tremendous number of named storms. We've only had 5, and the only major that weakened is one that ended up hitting us early in the season as a Cat 1, and that was Beryl. But yet we find ourselves in the heart of this season and still monitoring for the potential for more development. So it's keeping us on our toes. So we've been through Alberto, Beryl, Chris, Debbie, and Ernesto. And then it's been more than 3 weeks since any other named systems come along here in the heart of the season. So again, forecasting 23 named storms. So if we're going to get to 23, if that's going to happen, it's going to have to get real busy in a hurry, and we would go through all of these names, and then we'd have to go into the supplemental names and go all the way to Braylon to get to 23. So what do you do with all this information? Well, we're monitoring the Gulf this weekend. You don't have to worry about it, but I do want you to be paying attention to it. I think the bottom line, we are expecting heavier rain to return next week. But make sure as you're going through your weekend and enjoying the beautiful weather this weekend that you are watching us at least once a day. We'll give you the complete update. Keep a close eye on that thing out there in the Gulf. And if something does decide to develop and outperform the models, no one gets caught off guard, and we'll be ready for it no matter what happens out there. That's where we stand. We'll keep you posted as we go through the weekend.